investigative eyes are focused more on tool world. Because when I joined the server, first thing I see is that they got terminated. So Discord is banning this stuff, but these people just keep popping up like unwanted hemorrhoids. And as someone that sits all day for my job, you can make of that as you will. But anyways, inside of their Discord server, they have a whole bunch of free tools you can use. There's NetNuker, which is, actually, let's just go back. Okay, this is the tool. I have found the tool they're advertising in their YouTube video, but they also have Flash USDT. Oh, this just fakes you sending cryptocurrency. They have an info stealer, so they actually have malware that you can download. They have a multi-tool, which does stuff like bomb accounts, unfriend everyone. This just sounds like an edgy teenager who got made fun of and how they're pretending they're quitting everything. That kid is going to need therapy. And it's time for me to pay for my therapy by talking about this video's partner, NordVPN. Now, later on in the video, NordVPN, I love you. Anyways, the point is, these guys have a whole bunch of different tools. And some of them are for pieces of garbage, like someone trying to download malware or an info stealer to steal your password. But also there's just dumb stuff like rotating your status in Discord to make your profile look fancy and absolute crap. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm questioning the mental capacity that anyone knows all of this. I'm gonna follow the footsteps of the 927 people that might have even downloaded this. Alright, let's see if official purple G does. talk about Discord.
Really?
Yeah, no one's just going to show you things that aren't important. So what happens is that this piece of malware will actually go into your local app data folder. You know how it's called Minecraft. Press Windows R, you present app data. It's kind of the same folder, it's in the same area. You'll make a folder called HV Real Text Audio. But when you go to your local app data folder, there's just a lot of Spotify. There's all these different files. So if you saw HV Real Audio where the folder is
What?
But as you can see, they are looking for every possible browser you have, even the photo. They're also going to list out all of your browser finance and crypto.
Really? You let me fucking get him up just to kill me.
One of them is that I could be wrong with my explanations of vulnerability. I'm not 100% about this is that this conversation actually, with Tom and I, devolved into argument. We both had an inflated ego, and it really went nowhere. So I can't get to the bottom of what Tom is saying and get some back-end look into things because we were both arguing with each other like dumb children. But there was one good thing that happened because of this argument, because remember how Tom said that an announcement was coming? A couple hours after the argument, Tom didn't tell everyone that now, did Tom change his mind? I don't know, but I think he is. For the next 100. Yo. Can you grow potatoes?
This blood decided to play ball now, have you? You'll be wanting the necklace then.
I apologize, Mr. Blackguard.
Why ain't you ever?
I will carry on your legacy.
You're back.
Almost every study
Goodbye.
is intimately associated with suicide evidence forced into it. This evidence is called a riparian corridor, so a dense slow vegetation that moves on either side of the street. This association is largely by biology. Females that makes the other side of the fence like this is the risk of outside of the species, many species are exposed to AIDS and drug where they form aggregations of breeds and get individuals primarily alternating AIDS pre-toxic streams these parasites and seasonal will struggle with that of most other parasites. Now on to Syracuse subapproximate. Syracuse subapproximate stretching between 7 and 8. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Now in today's episode we're going to be network that we explored earlier this year in this video. Basically, if you missed that one, that what with some Nickelodeon flair. We've got the slime here. We've got the slime here. About it. But on that video, I got a few comments from you guys saying that, you know, these things can actually run macOS 10.6, these Dell Mini 10Bs, which is the netbook that this is based off of. And so that got me thinking, why don't we try that out? Why don't we try to turn this thing into a hackathon? To this DVD right here, and we're going to try and install it on this computer using this external DVD drive, because of course this thing doesn't have a DVD drive built in because it's a netbook. I'm sure you figured that out, and hopefully this whole process will be just as easy as checking out today's video sponsor. You know, cloud computing from Akamai. We've all been talking and yeah, I kind of forgot to put some we have on here. We got this AR 2011 registry cleaner program that says you got to apply this software to fix 597 registry errors. Like, oh no, man, what are we gonna do? Well, we're just gonna overwrite the Windows XP installation. That'll fix everything, right? So yeah, we're gonna get all that. No, that's not software back. The DVD, and I believe we have to hit F12. Yes, it looks like we do. Okay, and we'll jump down to CD/DVD. Yeah, press HD. All right. All right. Looks like our boot screen has been modified with a different Apple logo, and I think a slightly different shade of gray in the background. So yeah, we're off to a great start so far. Let's stay that way. All right, so we've got a familiar language selection screen for anyone who's installed macOS 10.5 or 10.6, obviously. And yeah, we do have a different wallpaper in the background. It's custom distros. We did that. We also saw that with iData, which is the distribution I used in the HP video, or the video with the HP laptop. This distro, I think I actually used it back in 2009. I believe I
Hey!
machine.
Hey!
Or maybe one of those.
Hey! Hey!
It's like taking up the entire screen with the exception of the menu bar over here. So we're going to continue. This is 10.6.3. So been on this screen for a little while, and booting up from the disk took a long time. It took probably like 10 minutes, and I'm not exaggerating there. It took a decent amount of time. Of course, it was booting off of the CD. The hard drive should be faster. So it looks like the Apple logo went away. So let's see if it's going to load the iconic intro video that I will have to mute if the sound actually works. So you guys won't know if the sound works or not. Oh, wait a second. Listen to that. What? Okay, I don't know if I can have this audio play through here. It might be in the Content ID system, but it's right now playing a cover of Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. I don't know who the cover's by, but nothing's showing up on the screen other than just the, this gray screen, like, the Apple logo went away, but we still have this. So, I don't really know what, at least the sound driver works, we know that. But, yeah, I really don't know what's going on. I'm assuming it loaded the setup process, maybe? And this is what's replacing the intro video? Maybe we have to wait for the song to finish or something. Yeah, I literally cannot stop this, and I can't even turn the volume down. Although, wait a second. No, I cannot turn the volume down. The control on the keyboard is not working. So we're just stuck here, forced to listen to Staying Alive. This cover is Staying Alive. Okay, I think it's fading out. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me try Command Q. My guess is there's some sort of issue with the display driver. Maybe I selected the wrong one. I picked the one that corresponded to the... Maybe we have to go through and reinstall this again. But let's just... evidently we're not getting anywhere. I can't hit, anything on the keyboard. Nothing is... Although, I wonder if maybe the USB... Because I do have a USB keyboard plugged into this. Maybe that driver... Oh, yeah. I just noticed that on the mouse here, the laser is not on. So yeah, it's not the USB keyboard's not working because I've got the mouse plugged into the keyboard. So let's try hitting Command Q or what would have been Command Q on the laptop. No, that's not doing anything. I can't hit Escape or Enter or anything to get this to go away. So let's just try to do a forced restart here. Oh my gosh, it's doing the same thing again. No, I don't want to stop. Oh my god. Okay, I'm going to go through the setup process again and modify those customization settings. And my current theory is it's a display driver problem, but I could be completely wrong. But let's find out, or I'm going to find out and come back to you and let you find out what I know, or what I find out. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Whatever. I'll be back in a minute. Alright, so good and bad news. The good news is I fixed the display problem. It was an issue with the driver that I had selected, because I had two selected, because there were two drivers for the Intel integrated graphics that we have in this thing. So I only have one driver selected now, and you can see that we now, get a display output after the boot screen. The bad news is, and what's kind of strange, is it says there isn't a keyboard connected to the computer. Now I've got a USB keyboard and mouse plugged in, and they're not working. So evidently the USB driver hasn't been loaded properly. But what's odd is I can modify the brightness by using the keyboard here. Okay, well now apparently I can't. I was able to before. Luckily I was recording, so I can show you that footage. So yeah, that was working. Now it's not. But I can't use this keyboard at all. I can't move the trackpad, like move my finger on the trackpad. It doesn't move the cursor around. I also can't adjust the frickin' volume, and this song is still playing in the background. Yeah, I have restarted multiple times, and we just get the same thing. So this isn't anything that can be fixed by a restart. So we're gonna have to go through the installation process again, and maybe try to modify some other settings. I think there was something about a USB driver, but I checked that. So I don't know. We're just gonna restart and boot up from the disk again. All right. After a few minutes of waiting for the boot up process to finish, we're here again on the installation screen, which is like what, the second time that you guys are seeing this, but like the third or fourth time that I'm seeing it. Well, it is an MJD video after all. Something has to go wrong, and in this case, well, I hope it's something that we're able to fix. I mean, worst case scenario, I'm thinking of just using that same iDenim CD that we used in the Hackintosh video with the HP laptop. But you know, we already took a look at that issue. I kind of wanted to explore this other one and kind of see how it differs from regular Mac OS X, which so far, especially with the music that you have during the like user account creation process and all that, is it's pretty wild to see. I'm scrolling through this document here, and I'm down here at the simple troubleshooting guide, and there's nothing about non-detected USB devices with a keyboard and mouse. It's got like a root device, CPU error, or black screen during HTTP boot. Nothing that really pertains to us, unfortunately. But one thing I do want to show you, I will have put a text blurb up on screen during the first run-through of setup, but there is this hardware info app that you can get to from utilities, which shows you the hardware you got installed so that you can take a note of this, and then when you click that customize button on the drive selection screen, you can make sure you get the right drivers and everything. So yeah, we can just close out of this. It's also pretty funny because this app is super basic, and they haven't even changed like some of the placeholder. Like it says window up here, it says button down here. This button doesn't actually do anything, and when you close out of it, it doesn't automatically quit the application. You have to go up here and click on quit new application. Let's actually go to about. I'm curious if they changed this. Hardware info version 0.1. Okay, copyright 2007. So yeah, we'll get out of that. And oh wait, we got to go into disk utility. Hang on a second, I'm getting ahead of myself. And we're erasing. And it's remounting. And we're done. Look at that. And now we'll select this. We'll go to customize. I believe I had this USB patch selected last time. So these are all the default settings, by the way, what it's got already selected in here. But I'm going to select USB. I don't think I had this laptop hardware thing checked under drivers. So I'm going to make sure to get that. Under VGA here, I'm going to go down here to Intel GMA 950. And this was the one that I got that worked, so we'll grab that. But okay, I think that we're good. Let's just hit OK and hit install. So we're going to let it do its thing. It is going to take about 19 minutes, and probably a little more than that actually. And I'll be back with you guys, hopefully looking at the setup assistant again, where we can actually move the mouse around and type on the keyboard. Oh my gosh, a kernel panic. Who could have ever predicted that? Yeah, the installation finished, and yeah, it's just kernel panic trying to boot up. So we're going to have to do a forced restart, and so we might have just created more problems for ourselves. Well, after a lengthy boot process, we got nothing. Same exact kernel panic, which just lovely. So, you know what? We're just going to get rid of this disk for now, because I think this is just freaking cursed, at least on this computer. And we're going to do something that I probably should have done from the very beginning, and just using a regular Mac OS 10.6 retail CD and modify it with some software to get it to install on here. And to do that, I need to grab one of my old Macs. And speaking of old Macs, Linode doesn't have any of that. But what they do have are a wide offering of cloud computing services that give you the tools you need to scale and deploy applications of all shapes and sizes. Whether you want to host a game server or a content management system, their Linux-based virtual machines come equipped with enterprise-level capabilities and predictable no-lock-in pricing, beginning at just $5 per month. And with the wide selection of apps available in their marketplace, you won't need to spend days on end getting everything set up. Linode was acquired by Akamai a while ago, and they're already expanding their global network of data centers to accommodate more customers in more places. And you can test drive all of it just by heading over to linode.com/MichaelMJD and signing up for an account. And as a thank you for watching this video, you'll receive a $100 free credit that you can spend on any of their cloud computing services for 60 days. So be sure to check them out, and huge thanks again to Linode for making this episode possible. Alright, so just to give you a little rundown of what I'm doing here, I actually found this old tutorial from Gizmodo, which details how to get Snow Leopard running on a Dell Mini 10B, which is again what this laptop is based on. And so what you do is I've just copied over, or rather restored, this USB flash drive I got plugged into the MacBook from a Snow Leopard install disk image. There it is. Now, of course, it's not going to let us run the application program called Netbook Installer, which is this super old program. It's actually hosted over here on Google Code Archive. And so I just got the latest version here from November 24th, 2010. And evidently all we have to do is run it, and we select Mac OS X install DVD, create booter, and then prepare drive, and then type in our password. And I guess that's it. Installation complete. Alright, so we'll hit continue. And so now we should just be able to plug this drive into, whoops, I don't want to do that. We should be able to plug this drive back into the NIC netbook. Alright, drive's going in, and we're powering it on, and there's USB storage. It's not looking good so far. Okay, I restarted and booted into the BIOS here to check the BIOS version, which is A06. Now, the article was originally written to say that you had to downgrade the BIOS version to get this to work, but then it was updated and said that this version of the BIOS works fine with the latest version of NetBoot Maker. Now, I'm guessing at some point NetBoot Maker's name was changed to Netbook Installer, because that's the application that I got, but there is an older version that's named NetBoot Maker, so we could try that. If this doesn't work, let's go down to USB storage. I would think it would be doing something. Alright, it's been sitting here for a little while and nothing's happening. So, yeah, let's just turn this back off. Well, would you look at this? We actually got it to boot. And what I had to do off camera is install Mac OS X Snow Leopard on my mid-2009 MacBook Pro here and create the bootable USB from that, using that version of this utility and then running the program that I mentioned in the last clip. So yeah, it wasn't working before on a more modern version of OS X. It worked on this version. Sometimes it's just best not to question things. It could be a multitude of things. It could be the application, that was written for 10.6, that netbook GUI application. Might just have not worked properly on El Capitan, which is what I was running on the MacBook. I'm still running it on it, just on a different partition. But anyway, so we're going to click on English, and yeah, the resolution here is definitely pretty low because this this window is normally not, from top to bottom. It's usually like in the center of the screen. But we already have, let's just go into, speaking of disk utility, let's go into disk utility here, and let me just make sure this drive is formatted. Actually, yeah, I'm going to have to format it because we still have the non-working install of IATK OS on here. It's showing all of, I guess these are all the other, what is this? So we have disk 8 through 13 here. We don't have anything else plugged into here. I'm guessing this is probably something to do with that extra partition it created on here to get this working on a non-Apple machine. But here's Hackintosh HD. We're just going to erase this Mac OS Extended Journal. We'll erase, yes, and that's done. So we're going to close out of that, hit continue, agree. We're totally running this on Apple hardware. Apple, no worries here. And let's click customize here. So it doesn't add anything, and this is like an unmodified copy of Snow Leopard. The only thing it changed was the bootloader to allow this system to boot off of it. But we could get QuickTime 7 if we want to. I'm not going to really run PowerPC stuff on here, so I'll just skip Rosetta if that would work on here. And we'll click on install. And it looks like it's going to take just over 30 minutes, so let's hope for the best. Oh my gosh, everybody, here we are. We actually booted off of the hard drive, and our mouse works, and I didn't get to catch the intro video because I had stepped away while it was finishing the installation process, and obviously restarted and booted up. But yeah, this is just great. Like, it feels so it just is, again, it's such a great feeling, after going through all this troubleshooting. And yes, I should have done this first, okay, I do realize that now. But I kind of wanted to explore IATK OS, and kind of mix it up a little bit by using that instead of just a regular CD. Whatever, I'm much happier going this route, considering that, it actually worked. And we are going to have to go through and change the resolution. That's the first thing I want to do, because you can see it is it's still in that pretty low resolution. But let's just put in my name here. We'll just do MJD we'll do Michael for the account name, and MJD for the password. I keep saying, whenever I type out this password in these videos, I keep saying we'll use our super simple secure password. A lot of people think it's 123. I actually always do MJD. I wonder if you can put the password hint as the display driver